How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to go ahead and complete the water heating tube from Activity 225 CAD Design Tools. All right, this is the water heating tube from our Brentwood coffee maker that we just completed our structural analysis for. So for this water heating tube, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create our pathway first, okay, for the entire thing. We're then going to create our profile to follow that pathway we created. We're going to revolve our tapered end at the top. We're then going to shell out the interior of this tube. And then we're going to add our threading down at the bottom here. So let's get started. All right, some preliminary observations that we're going to make of our heating tube is that the center to center is going to be 1.95 inches. Our bottom unit or bottom portion is going to be 2.31 inches. Our top is going to be 2.06 inches, including that 1/4 inch taper. And then, of course, our diameter of this curve is going to be that center to center 1.95. So let's get rolling. So we're going to start off, we're going to create a new design. Okay, we're going to save it as our water heating tube. Save it there. Come in, create a new component. Remember, every time we create a new part, we're going to create it as a component so that in case we want to add it to a pre-existing assembly, all right, we're able to do so. Hit OK. So here we go. Let's get started. So we're going to create a new sketch. We're going to choose our XY axis or XY plane here. I'm going to select a line, come over, create the bottom of it. All right, this bottom was 2.31 inches. I'm going to choose construction. I'm going to make a construction line that goes up. Hotkey for the construction is the letter X on your keyboard, so hit the letter X. Create a line going straight up. We're going to make this line the diameter of that curve, 1.95. Hit enter. Create X. Hit X again to turn off the construction. And then this one is going to come straight over. All right. We said the entire length was 2.06. However, okay, that included our taper. So we need to subtract 2.06. Subtract that 1/4 inch taper from the end there, and that will give us our total length there. All right, we're going to go to create. Let's get our arc, 3-point arc. We're just going to trace our construction line that we created there, pull it out until we get our tangent constraint, which is just like so. Finish, and voila. We now have the pathway for our soon-to-be sweep. All right. Now, the problem is we have this pathway, but we don't have the profile in which that is going to follow this sweep. So let's go ahead. If we take a look at our drawing, we'll notice that the outside diameter of this tube is going to be 0.37 inches. So I'm going to create a sketch. I'm going to come over to the right-hand side. I'm going to choose this YZ plane right here. Select my circle tool. I'm going to start at that center point that I've been using. We're going to make this 0.37. Hit enter. Finish our sketch. Come back to our home view so we can see what we're doing. Come to create. Down to sweep. Now we're going to select that profile that we just created right there. That profile being that circle. We're going to change our selector to identify our pathway, which our pathway is going to be that arc system that we just created right there, and then hit OK. Now we have the overall generic form or basic form of our heating tube. Okay, we just need to add our taper here, shell it, and then finish it off with a threading on the bottom. So for our taper, let's take a look. We're going to notice that the taper, the length of the taper is 0.25. Okay. It doesn't really identify much after that. But just for this case, what we're going to do is we're going to give it a 10-degree taper edge all the way down that entire length. To do this, we need to come into construction and we need to get a center line for this top cylinder here. So I'm going to select axis through cylinder cone torus, and I'm going to select that top cylinder there. So now we have that center line which follows it all the way from front to back. Hit OK. And then we're going to start a sketch, right, from our front view so that we could draw it from here. So I'm going to select there. Okay. But before we can begin, I want to identify this project geometry. So I'm going to come down to create. We're going to go to project include. We're going to select project. And then I'm going to carefully select this edge there. When I do that, you notice it'll highlight blue. When I hit OK, it should turn purple. Yep, along with these two purple points right there. So now, right, now our sketch plane is recognizing this edge, and there is technically a completed line from one point to the other point. So the very, very top of the cylinder to the very, very bottom. All right, so we can use that to create our closed profile so that we can later revolve it for our taper. All right, so I'm going to start right dab in the center. We're going to say that this overall length was 0.25. Very nice. I'm going to come out just a little bit. Actually, let's come in this way. All right, I don't really know the length. I'm going to hit tab. We're going to do 10 degrees. All right, just hit there. Then we can connect that center of our taper to that outside edge of that taper we just created there, and there is going to be our profile. Don't worry about this little stem, this little overhang that we have right here. When we revolve it, it will automatically go away all on its own. So we're going to hit our home view. I'm going to come use my revolve tool up here. It's going to automatically select that profile because it's the only profile that exists. We're going to make sure it says axis, and then we're going to choose that axis through that center cylinder that we selected earlier. So we click that. Look at that, full 360 revolve all the way around. Nice and solid. I'm going to hit there and we're good to go. If I want, I can come back down over here to the axis. I can right click, right, and I can delete that axis. Nope, I don't want to delete it. We can come down. Construction, there it is. Turn it off in the construction. Bring it back up. All right, and we're good to go. Alrighty, not a big deal. Okay, we have now our sweep. We have a revolve. Let's go ahead and let's complete our shell on the inside to turn this horseshoe into a tube. So I'm going to come up, I'm going to select the shell tool. We're going to grab this one edge here, as well as this bottom edge there, because we want these two to be open all the way throughout. All right. When we take a look at our dimensions in here, we're going to notice that the outside diameter is 0.37 and the inside diameter is going to be 0.27. So we have a difference of 0.1 inches. All right. I don't want to make my shell 0.1. Watch what happens when I make it 0.1. When you make it 0.1, it is way too small. The reason is because we have a distance from this edge to this edge as 0.1. We actually want that to be half of it. So 0.1 divided by 2 is going to be 0.05. We hit OK. Let's take a look. Yeah, that looks much nicer. All right, great job. So last bit that we have remaining is going to be creating this 3/8 by 16 UNC thread down at the bottom. Notice this thread extends in at 0.5 inches from the edge into there. So we're going to come back. We're going to come into create, swing down to thread, and I'm going to select this bottom cylinder. All right. Because we used a nice generic outside diameter, is going to automatically default it to that 3/8 by 16 UNC. And it's even going to give us that 3A class, which is kind of awesome. But we do have a little bit of an issue. Can you figure it out? Yeah, look at that. It is threaded all the way. All right. When we go back to our drawing, we're going to observe that it's only half of an inch. We don't want to thread the entire length. So we're going to come in. Look at that. Full length. It's checked. Uncheck it. Okay, from there you'll notice that it changes the thread just this set distance right here. We're going to leave our offset at 0. If I were to change that offset, what it will do is it will move that thread a certain distance off of the outside edge. I'm going to leave it at 0 because I want it to start on that outside edge there. All right, but we're going to change this length to 0.5, just half an inch. Keep it at right hand direction, hit OK. All right, give it one last save. And there you go. There is our water heating tube from our Brentwood coffee maker. Go ahead, give it a try.